Good day, everyone, and welcome to something new we're going to try here, the Grumpy Old Gamers Gamer Profiles. We, as you know, have a Patreon, and one of our very first contributors, actually our very first contributor, I believe, Steve here, we decided we'd have him on, and, he can tell us what makes him a gamer, and we'll share some stories, and we'll go from there. So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an old grumpy guy, so I fit right in with this crowd.
All right.
Yep. I'm a landscaper by trade and a gamer by night, I guess. Married, have one little girl who's 9 years old and just getting into gaming. And
Nice.
that's pretty much it.
Excellent. And you've been friends with Rob here for many years, eh?
Many years.
Many
High school,
years.
yes.
Oh, wow.
A scary long time ago now that I think about it.
Yes, yep.
Okay, yeah, you can definitely take a grumpy old title with that.
Yep. And a fun fact about Steve, tuba player, as well as I am. That's how we met originally. We were both tuba players in the high school band, so.
That's right.
Okay, how have you guys not recorded us a theme song? Yeah, that's what I want next. I want dueling tubas for our theme song.
For a theme song? Like, we can do that. We can do that.
Make it happen.
Can you do Devil Went Down to Georgia on tubas? I'm just wondering.
Well,
not well.
No. Involves a lot of losing your breath and passing out. Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we got 10 questions for you here, Steve, and then I'll start off the first one here. So, what's your first memory of gaming? Like first system owned or something like that?
Yeah. So originally, I kind of started gaming from the fringes, which is not as creepy as it sounds. It's not like I was looking through people's windows or anything, but I never owned a system, or we never, as a family, owned a system. So we would go, or I would go to friends' houses and play your Intellivisions, your Colecos, your Ataris, those kinds of things, playing Asteroid and Tron Deadly Disc and great games like that. And from there, I kind of got hooked on gaming, and that's when I discovered arcade games. Now, not in the arcades themselves, that came later, but originally in the strip malls, you would always find arcade machines in the pizza parlors and the dry cleaners and other sketchy places kids probably shouldn't be. But
yep.
So yeah, wasted a ton of quarters on games like Double Dragon, Gauntlet, Golden Axe, things like that. And that's kind of what got me into the gaming. Those were my first memories of gaming. In terms of my first system, I'd been pushing my parents for quite a while to get some kind of system during that 8-bit generation. And the Nintendo was kind of the one I was hoping for. And the Nintendo had been out for a number of years, and it just felt like it's probably not going to happen. But one time when we were in the States on a family trip, the family stopped at the Target there, and they picked me up the Nintendo Power Set, which had the console and the light gun and the power pad as well too for the track and field games. So yeah, I was super excited about that, and I was trying to think if I finished the story, whether I had to worry about the statute of limitations, because of course when you pick up stuff in the States, which are nice and cheap, you got to cross the border, and you're supposed to claim what you've purchased in the States. So my dad decided that he didn't really want to pay the duty on anything we bought. So when we got close to the border, he told me, I don't know if you remember the times back then when seatbelt laws were not as strict as they were, and you had pillows and blankets all over the car and all that stuff. So basically, he told me to cover the Nintendo with a blanket, put a pillow on it, and sleep on it, or pretend I was asleep. So if the border guard looked in, I was just sleeping on it. He actually told me not to move unless the guy actually touched me. That's how worried he was about it. I mean, they're probably looking for things like drug mules rather than somebody smuggling a game system. But so that's how I got my Nintendo home.
That's great.
And that was my first console. And then at the same time, my dad had also gotten a home computer for the first time. So we had the mighty Tandy 1000 in our basement. And so I loaded and played, I don't know if you remember the early Sierra games, the adventure text games. So like your police quests, your space quests, Heroes Quest, all those ones I played. And of course, when maybe Mom and Dad weren't around, Leisure Suit Larry came out. But so those were my first two systems: the Nintendo Power Set and the Tandy 1000 PC.
Awesome.
Well, I think now is an excellent time to come clean on the border, because I think they got a lot of bigger problems that they're dealing with down there. So you're probably okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to bring COVID across, much less a little game system.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. All right. Question number 2. Favorite game system of all time?
So I'm going to go on a little journey here because I never had a lot of systems. So a lot of people, when they hear what my final system will be, like, why wouldn't you pick this? Why wouldn't you pick this? But I never had a lot of systems. So I went from the 8-bit Nintendo to the Super Nintendo was the next system I got, which I played the heck out of and loved dearly. But after that, I really got into PCs. And so, versus, my parents having a computer and then myself purchasing computers, I came a little bit of a PC snob, and I wasn't going to play no console. That's just not the system to play. And so that went on for quite a while, pretty much up to, I gotta say, it was 2007, 2008, whenever Rock Band came out.
Oh yeah.
And that little game called Rock Band really interested me. And of course, it didn't come on PC, so I needed a system to play it on. So I wandered over to the local Best Buy, and they, was that PS3 at the time or PS2? I can't remember.
They had it for both, but most people played on the PS3. So
they had both systems there, and I'm an impulse buyer, so I asked them, and there were no PS3s in stock, and they weren't coming anytime soon. So I picked up the 360 and Rock Band, and that was my next gaming system, which lasted me for quite a while till last year. I finally got an Xbox One to replace it. But because I was such a PC snob, and eventually after getting married and with two of us working, and having 2 incomes, no kids, I had wanted to live out of childhood fantasy of buying a custom notebook laptop, gaming laptop. My dream was an Alienware, but even with 2 incomes, I couldn't afford an Alienware. So
that's all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went with one of their lesser known competitors. So I got a Sega gaming laptop for an ungodly amount of money. And so, just on the off chance my wife ever sees this video, that's my favorite system. Just to justify the cost of it, that's my favorite system. It was a great computer. It did last me for quite a while.
Yep, I remember that one. And that was running Vista, right? If I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah,
the most streamlined OS they ever invented.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of Diablo 3 had on that laptop back in the day.
And even though it was a laptop, that thing was a brick to carry around. It was so heavy.
Yep, you bet. Awesome.
Okay, well, question number 3 here. You're stranded on a desert island. What's the one game that you bring with you?
Now, this was a tough question for me, and mostly because I would consider myself a gamer with ADHD. I am so distracted by Shiny and the next best thing. I don't often complete games. If I complete a game, then it's a good one, because otherwise I'm like, oh, I'm bored, on to the next thing. Rob can attest.
Yep,
I played WoW with him, and I probably had every version of any character you can make on WoW, but all at level 20, never any higher. So maybe I should say that's the game I should bring, because then I might actually reach a level cap if I'm forced to play on a deserted island. But I would like to say a story-driven game, because I love RPGs, but with story-driven games, there's not a lot of replayability. I mean, can you imagine Last of Us with its amazing story and ending, and then playing it 1,000 times? It just kind of loses it. So I think I'd go with something like Diablo 3, just mindless, find loot and load up kind of game.
Okay.
Oh, good answer.
Excellent.
Good answer. Now we're going to assume that Desert Island has internet, just for the sake of this argument, but
and power and all that stuff. Yeah.
And all the power, and
the Mountain Dew Code Red, of course, right?
Absolutely. All right, number 4. Your favorite hidden gem type game. So a game you know and love that no one seems to have played, and it can be combined with your favorite game if you want.
So I loved city building games. and I think I'm about 10 people who do love them because they just disappeared off the face of the earth. But I especially like the games from Sierra when Sierra moved later on into other gaming styles, and they did games. I think starting with Caesar 2, Caesar 3. There was Pharaoh with all the expansions. There was Zeus with all the expansions. And then finally, the last game they made before I think Sierra went under or got bought out was Emperor, which was like the culmination of those games. So those games had lots of little eccentricities that you had to work around, controlling your workers and where they go. And Emperor basically was the last one and had worked out all those bugs. And I love that game. I wish I could find it again. I found Pharaoh on Good Old Gamers, but I haven't found Emperor yet. So that's a game I absolutely love, and I think there's very few of us out there who do.
So is it like it's like a city building type game, or is
Yeah,
it like
so
what's that they call Foursquare game, where you're kind of managing everything, like
yeah,
building and
it's mostly city building.
expanding and
Yeah, and so you'd have it's like isometric view, and you have goals, like you had to reach certain goals, and you had to appease gods, and you had to manufacture goods and trade them with other places. And there was a rudimentary fighting system. It was pretty basic. Basically, if you had more guys, you won, kind of thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. They just I don't know, like building the pyramids. It was amazing. You'd spend hours just watching guys build pyramids because that's all you could do. But I loved it.
awesome.
Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
so if you could go back and wipe your memory so you could experience a game again, what game would that be?
So I'm a big fantasy fanboy. Growing up, I played D&D. I read fantasy extensively, so your Tolkien, your Lord of the Rings, Dragonlance, Wheel of Time, if you're familiar with that. So a big fantasy person. So if I had a choice, Dragon Age, the whole Dragon Age series, I would love to play that again, just for just that overarching story that they built for that world. You had these wonderful, well-rounded NPCs. You had difficult dialogue choices to make in these worlds, and I don't know, just that scope and the amount of work that they put into those worlds. I would love to feel that again, for the first time, all that amazement again.
Huh.
Right on. Representing Edmonton bred
Yes.
BioWare as well. We appreciate that. That's
I think when we were making these questions, you called that one, didn't you?
I did
Rob?
actually, yeah. I did call that one, yeah. I was like, that one's Dragon Age. I know that one for sure. That's
I do talk about that one a bit. Ironically though, I haven't finished Inquisition yet. I just haven't had the time. I love the game, but there's so many hours into that game.
yeah, kids will do that to you. It's
Yeah.
kids in life, yeah. Awesome. Okay. This one here, I'm very interested in knowing you as long as I have for the answer on this one, but favorite video game character?
So I was sweating a little bit on this one because I thought it was best character, and I'm like, God, put me on the spot like that. Like, you want to start fights on your chat board?
Yeah, the
So I
answer's
was
Sonic,
thinking,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all those iconic characters. You got Mario, you got Link, the Master Chief, Laura Croft, like so many choices, and I'm like, oh, good, it's just a personal choice. So,
Yep.
My personal choice, favorite character, is a character I spent a lot of time with, and I'm sure lots of people did, and that would be Deckard Cain from Diablo.
Oh.
I mean, he was that guy that he was always there for advice. He was always there to celebrate your victories and commiserate your losses. And I mean, most importantly, at least in the first game, was to demonstrate sweet loot.
Very true. Yep.
Yep.
Very true.
Okay, awesome. So what's the first time a video game wowed you? Kind of gave you a feeling of like maybe it doesn't get better than this. Like this is the best thing I've ever seen, or something like that.
This was a crazy tough question too, because I mean, if you look at even from us, how far video gaming has come from watching a ball bounce between two paddles to what we see nowadays. So there's so many wow moments. I'm going to list a few just because I couldn't think of one that was the overall one.
No, it's got to be one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we just asked for
question
one.
doesn't
So.
say.
Oh no, I'm going to fatten out this podcast. We're going to add some weight to it here. I mean, playing Doom, or Rise of the Triad, those style games in a LAN party. You'd haul your big heavy computer over. You'd spend 2 or 3 hours making sure everyone could talk to each other, and you get about 30 minutes of quality gaming in. But man, those 30 minutes, it was like, wow, I'm here with my friends. We're playing these awesome games. Like doesn't get any better than this, right? Thinking of a game like Half-Life, that opening scene, experiencing that opening scene where you're watching everything, and this lab is being destroyed and people are being eaten by aliens, and you have no weapon, and you're like, for me, that's like fear inducing. I'm like, oh man, like what am I supposed to do? And oh, finally I got a weapon, and it's a pipe wrench. Like, what the heck? Like, but for an opening, that was just such a wow. Like, what an amazing job they did. Thinking fully developed stories that they build into these games now. So series like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, even the predecessor like Neverwinter Nights, or playing Outer Worlds I've been playing recently. So all those games, they give me that wow, like the amount of work that people put into these games, and the background they build. They've got the politics, the factions, like all this stuff they put into it. It's just wow. For me anyways, I love those RPGs. What else did I have here? Oh, the first time I tried an MMO. And just getting into that world, and I was a little bit late to it. Other people had done it before, and then you get in and you just see all these people. They got those little names over their heads. I mean, eloquent names like Mr. Big Balls, the female elf warrior. Anyways, but just thinking there's thousands and thousands of people all playing this game at the same time. It just blew my mind. Like just the size of it. What else did I have? Oh, the first time I played a home VR unit. That was like, oh my God. This is in someone's house. I remember playing Resident Evil on there, and just it was crazy. When I had a big fancy computer, playing games like Far Cry or Crysis, and those beast games, and the amount of work they put into seeing like the lighting effects, water effects, the shade, like just amazing. I mean, I think it's still a joke nowadays is whether or not your computer can play Crysis at max settings is a benchmark they still use, but again, the amount of detail they put into the games, it was just wow watching them. I don't know. I think that's why we play the games, right? Is to see that wow, is to be surprised again and again, and just the joy out of that. That's why I play games, anyways.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say the new Crysis Remastered actually does bring new computers to its knees, so it's continuing its continued tradition of running at 40 frames a second on a 3090. So they're still doing it. Just a new generation of kids all experiencing that.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. Guilty pleasure game or genre of game?
This will link back to my hidden gem game. I love City Builders. I love Empire Builders. So, I mean, I've played every version of Civ since Civ 2. Playing those CR games, like I said, Caesar, Pharaoh, Zeus. Those I absolutely love those games, and the detail that goes into watching your computer peons do what you tell them to. I mean, it probably doesn't reflect well on my management style at work. I got to wonder if people consider me a micromanager at work, because if I treat people like I do in the games. But anyways, I do love that whole, just the detail. I don't know. I love controlling that all.
Okay. So what video game genre trend don't you get? Just doesn't make sense to you.
I have a couple here for this one. The first one will make me a true grumpy gamer. It's Fortnite.
Yep.
I've played it a bit. I mean, I've watched it, and it just boggles my mind. Like, just watching these kids, they're running, they're building these structures, they're running up these structures, they're avoiding getting shot, they're shooting, they're falling off the building, building more structures. Like the twitch fiber these kids must have to play that, it's beyond me now. So yeah, I have a hard time with that one. And then the other one was The Sims, and this is a game I thought when it first came out was going to be something I really loved, and then I played it and I'm like, you know what, I have a hard enough time paying my own bills and cleaning my own house and I'm maintaining my own relationships. I don't need to do this for some computer avatar. Like, no, thank you. The tedium of life doesn't need to be replicated on a game.
Yep, that makes sense. And they keep making sequels and DLC, and it's
I mean, obviously people are playing it.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
don't get it.
Yep.
Yeah, they keep they just keep out putting expansion packs for that Sims 4.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you can
All
get
right.
dogs and
Yep.
all the shoes in the world and
All the shoes. So finally, the creme de resistance of the questions here. Number 10. What makes you grumpy in gaming?
Yeah, and both of these are probably ones you guys have talked about before. I'm pretty sure I've seen you guys talking about them. I mean, the first one, the most obvious one, the pay to win, the frustration in. I remember when I was younger and you didn't have a lot of money and you get your paycheck and you shell your money out for this game and you'd spend big dollars but you could play that game 24/7 and not have to worry about anything. But now you still pay the big dollar for the game, and then all of a sudden you need like a season's pass, or I mean, realistically, you need the loot crates to keep up with the other players. And yeah, that's, to me, it's not a great way to do it. I mean, part of that probably makes me grumpy now is it's that temptation now to be like, I mean, I could just get a couple things and then I could show those kids who's boss. Or
Yep.
that armor looks super awesome. I really want that armor. Like I understand why they do it because it works well, I'm sure. But at an $80 game, I want to just be able to play it.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then the other one, again, you probably talked about it a million times, is basically big companies using their paying customers as beta testers. Where a game comes out and it's been pushed out because they need to get it out for Christmas or they need to reach a certain date, and either the game's broken when you get it, or suddenly you're like, oh, day one, here's a patch, 150 gigabyte patch, great.
yeah.
And you just think like, and it's got to be the faceless side of the big gaming world, but I mean, it's part of why I'm a little bit excited when you see like movies now, like music, the way they open things up for indie gamers now, being a little bit easier to access those style of games. And I'm hoping that's something that pushes the bigger game developers to innovate more and to do more things like that. But more likely they'll just buy the indies and put a season's pass on that cool game. So
yeah, we call it the electronic artification of the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Yep. That's yep, those are two awful things. That's it's a good answer there.
Well, those are the 10 questions we had for you. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or?
No, that was kind of it. Those are, like I said to Rob, those are good questions. I had to think about a few of those. But yeah, I mean, gaming is awesome. That's all I can say.
It's true.
It's true.
Gaming is awesome. Well, okay. Thanks, Steve. Thank you for coming on and doing this with us, and also thank you for your support. We absolutely appreciate it. We still haven't decided what we're going to do with our combined month collections here yet.
Black tar heroin.
Yeah,
Straight to black tar heroin.
That's what Rob's fortune's going to.
I don't think my Patreon is quite enough for that, but you know.
It's true. It's true. But we appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely we do. And on that note, I'll just remind everyone that we have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com and search out the Grumpy Old Gamers, you'll find our page there. It'll be linked below down here. This is the new catch symbol.
Yep. Unless I'm on the bottom, then it's here.
The link to our PayPal donation there. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been a Grumpy Old Gamer profile, and have a good evening.
Hi everyone.
See you later.